Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into something that, honestly, completely shifted how I look at the world. As humans, we rely so heavily on our vision to just get through our daily lives. Your eyes are, without a doubt, one of the most advanced sensory tools on the planet. But what if I told you they were actually incredibly easy to hack? And the hacker isn't some high-tech supercomputer or AI, it's the planet itself. Today, we're exploring how nature acts as this master illusionist, completely bypassing our most trusted senses.
So, let me start off by asking you a really direct question. Can you actually trust your eyes? I mean, we all like to think that seeing is believing, right? That what's right in front of us is the unfiltered truth. But today, we're going to challenge that fundamental assumption. We are decoding 4 mind-bending earthly illusions that completely defy common sense and honestly seem to break the laws of physics. By the end of this explainer, you might just find yourself double-checking what you see out your own window.
All right, part 1. Hacking your human senses, also known as the reality hack. Let's jump right into our first anomaly, the flying ship. Okay, picture this. You're standing on the beach, you look out at the horizon, and you spot this massive cargo ship just literally hovering high up in the sky. It looks like a total glitch in the Matrix, right? Well, it's actually a real phenomenon called a Fata Morgana. It's a super complex optical illusion caused entirely by unique atmospheric conditions. You see, reality isn't always a direct video feed to your brain. In this case, nature is physically bending light rays, making distant objects look like they're just magically suspended right there above the water.
So how exactly does nature pull this off? It's basically a 3-step process. Step 1, you've got this layer of cold air sitting right over the ocean, and it gets trapped underneath a much warmer layer of air. Step 2, that specific setup creates a massive atmospheric lens right up in the sky. Finally, step 3, as light travels from a ship that is actually miles and miles away, and honestly sometimes completely hidden over the curve of the Earth, that lens bends the light rays downward toward your eye. Your brain gets totally confused, assumes light always travels in a straight line, and projects an upside-down, hovering image of that ship straight into the sky. Crazy, right?
Moving right along to our next one, the underwater waterfall. Talk about a terrifying ocean drop-off.
So if you were to fly a drone off the beautiful coast of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean, your eyes would register absolute nightmare fuel, especially if you're afraid of deep water. You'd see this massive deep ocean trench just violently swallowing the sea into a dark abyss. But topographic reality tells a totally different, way calmer story. It's actually just a shallow plateau, with sand and silt gently falling off the edge. There is no giant trench, and the ocean isn't draining at all.
Here's what's actually happening. Geographically, Mauritius sits on this really shallow underwater plateau. The whole trick is just constant ocean currents. They continuously push light-colored sand and silt from the shores right off the edge of that plateau into the slightly deeper ocean surrounding it. So you're not looking at falling water, you're looking at falling sand. And because the colors shift so perfectly from light blue to dark blue, the movement mimics a subterranean vortex so well that your brain literally screams, "Underwater waterfall!"
All right, next up, the floating cities. Sci-fi metropolises right up in the clouds. People frequently catch these massive, ghostly skyscrapers on camera, looming over lakes or mountain ranges where absolutely no city exists. And of course, this naturally sparks mass panic and endless UFO theories. But the grounded scientific explanation is a super mirage, which is driven by a thermal inversion. It's actually very similar to the Fata Morgana we just talked about, but this one happens over land. It grabs distant physical features and vertically stretches their geometry right up into the sky. Let's look at the steps here. Step 1, a thermal inversion locks into place over a landmass. Step 2, totally ordinary earthly features that are miles away, like a distant mountain range, a line of tall trees, maybe a basic power grid, get caught in that atmospheric lens and start stretching vertically. And step 3, all that distorted geometry stacks on top of itself. To your eye, miles away, those stretched out shapes look exactly like a floating metropolis. But actually, scratch that, it's literally just trees and dirt, stretched out by temperature.
Which brings us to our final location, the endless mirror, where the horizon just disappears.
If you ever travel down to the Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia, which is the largest salt flat in the world, during the rainy season, you'll feel like you've stepped into a massive, disorienting alternate dimension. It becomes a flawless, endless mirror. What happens is a super thin layer of rainwater gathers over the incredibly flat salt crust. Since it doesn't drain or pool unevenly, it just sits perfectly still. It turns the entire ground into a giant piece of reflective glass.
The mechanics of this illusion essentially create total sensory deprivation for your eyes. There are absolutely no visible landmarks, no trees, no hills, no buildings. Because of this stunning reflection, the horizon line is completely erased. You literally cannot tell where the earth ends and the sky begins, because the sky perfectly reflects right beneath your feet. The line between heaven and earth just completely vanishes.
And because of this surreal setup, your brain completely loses its sense of depth. When you step out there, you are literally walking into a living illusion. Without a horizon line, without shadows or objects to give you any sense of scale, your brain's depth perception software just crashes. In photos, a person standing 50 feet away looks like a tiny miniature action figure standing in the palm of your hand. Nature has completely stripped away your perspective.
Let's wrap things up with the science behind the deception, or, as I like to call it, nature's toolkit.
From hovering ships to endless mirrors, it is absolutely wild to think about. Hollywood spends hundreds of millions of dollars on CGI to trick our eyes and build impossible worlds. But nature pulls off way better tricks for free. Our visual reality is so highly subjective to our environment. To completely rewrite reality, nature only needs three basic things: physics, light, and geometry. When those three elements perfectly align in the atmosphere, the impossible suddenly becomes visible.
So I gotta ask, which of these earthly deceptions broke your brain the most? Was it the Fata Morgana ghost ship, the underwater sand waterfall, the floating sci-fi city, or that endless mirror? Let me know. I absolutely love exploring the unusual, the scientific, and the pure mysteries of our universe with you guys. Keep questioning what you see out there, keep exploring, and I can't wait to dive into our next explainer with you soon.